What's up, everyone? Jason Gilbo here at JGilbo11, breaking down some GPP bats for tonight's slate. 15 gamer, have ourselves some cores, good pitching on the hill as well. So a lot of different ways you can go tonight, as always, with 15 games. Keep an eye on Washington. That's the one with the rain again. And God knows what they're going to do this time around. So jumping right into things, looking at catcher, definitely intrigued with whoever's behind the dish in Milwaukee, whether that is Bandy or Pena. Going up against Harvey, who's been, just as bad as he was basically last year. I mean, the guy's fallen off. Right-handers hitting him pretty good this year. 335 WOBA, 37% hard contact rate. Lefties, he's been a little better against, but still nothing exciting. So Jet Bandy has a little bit more power. You hope he's behind the dish, but Pena's back there as well. Definitely don't mind those two guys. As far as other bats go, I mean, Evan Gattis is an intriguing GPP option. Jordan Montgomery's certainly been solid. I definitely don't mind what he's been doing, but still low ground ball rates. Home runs still could be a little bit of an issue for him in this matchup. I do think Gattis is an intriguing guy who's picked things up, hitting for a little bit of an average this year. Has been a decent power guy against lefties in his career. Reasonably priced on both sides. I definitely don't mind firing away with him. I think if you are paying out Tyler Glasnow, yes, Mike Rendell, certainly a guy you can take a look at. In cores, I got the night off last night going up against Chatwood, who's been awful in cores. He's a fine pitcher on the road, but in cores, this guy is certainly a guy you can fire up against. So I'll be looking to go that way. That's about it. There's not a ton to really love. I mean, Stephen Vogue's been struggling. He's in a good spot if you want to take a shot, but hard contact's been down, a little bit of an issue, but a cheap guy if you're looking to kind of attack Cashner, which I am tonight. So moving on to first base, two guys that I'm particularly thrilled with is Matt Carpenter going up against Eddie Butler, who's been awful throughout his career in and out of cores. Now he's with Chicago making a start tonight. Talked about the Cardinals stack on the stacking pod. Matt Carpenter's certainly in line, and I think on a full game slate. Once again, not a lot of people thrilled with using Carpenter at first base, so I think that takes even more so, especially with Bellinger. In cores at a price similar. Some other guys you can take a look at. Obviously, Goldie, I don't mind against Glasnow. At home, they're stolen base upside as well. Those types of guys you're going to be looking at. But Yonder Alonso is another one. People are starting to catch on to him. DK, he's priced down. FanDuel, he's priced up a little bit. Up against Cashner, who has struggled with lefties over the last few seasons, allowing a modest hard contact rate. Alonso, I mean, absolutely, on fire this year, already in the double-digit range for home runs. In that ballpark, I think Cashner's is finding one of the nights that catches up to him. Has not been good, doesn't miss many bats. So definitely like those two guys as kind of pivots away from the mass field of, Goldie and those types of names. So Bellinger as well. Look at second base, Jose Altuve, sticking with the Astros, guys, an intriguing option given his numbers against left-handed pitching. In that ballpark, extremely friendly as well. Montgomery's been fairly solid this year. It should lower ownership for Altuve, especially with his price tag as well. But definitely a high upside play in the Bronx. If you're looking to kind of pay down at pitching and go a different direction than Coors, definitely don't mind him at all. If you're looking to pay down, Odor's been a little boomer bust. Not a little. He has been boomer bust this season. But going up against Jesse Hans, a guy I don't mind. This guy over his career has struggled with lefties. This year, not so much. But hard contact is up 38% to lefties. FIP, XFIP are all very average. Doesn't miss a ton of bats either. With that being said, I think Odor's a sneaky play. Huge upside there for his Texas bats with the weather and the wind blowing out as well. And because he's been struggling, you can get him at a cheap price tag. If Dexter Fowler's out, Colton Wong will be leading off to continue with that trend of Cardinals. I don't mind him if he's leading off, if he's hitting 8th or 9th and Fowler's back. I lose the appeal at his price tag, but he's definitely worth a look. Third base, Justin Turner's a pay-up option if you need it for the Coors upside, but Miguel Sano, a guy I'll be looking at here, red hot, another home run last night. I mean, the guy's absolutely been on fire. Twins in a decent spot here. I mean, Snow hitting over, has over a 200 ISO against right-handers going back to last year. I mean, he's a full thousand cheaper once again than the Coors third baseman, yet has similar upside. So I really think you can fire away here. Home run potential is there tonight. And like I said, the price tag is relatively nice as well. So Snow definitely a guy that I'll be taking a look at against Tomlin, who is severely home run prone. 1.76 points per nine this year, 397 WOBA. That's continued over the previous years. He's always been a reverse splits / home run prone pitcher. Snow certainly intriguing. Another Cardinal, Jed Jerko, I'll take a look at tonight. He's been absolutely on fire this season. Like him in this matchup against Butler, like where he's hitting in the lineup right now. I'll continue to fire away at a reasonably cheap price tag. Not expecting high ownership on him on a 15-game slate. Travis Shaw, a guy I don't mind here. On more of a DK play, you look at Matt Harvey, 1.59 home runs per nine to lefties. Hard contact rate's fairly average, not missing bats. Travis Shaw hitting over 300 in the last 10 games. Once again, on DK, I don't mind the price tag. FanDuel is a little bit priced up. I prefer some other options. Good park there in Miller, so I definitely don't mind him. Looking at shortstop, Gene Segura, a good pivot away from guys like Seager and Correa. Seager's been very solid this year. I mean, especially of late. I mean, hitting over 400 over the last week or so. Gets a good matchup there in a friendly ballpark. Once again, it's just kind of more of a pivot away from those high-priced names because, Seager's going to definitely draw some ownership. Correa as well with the way he's been hitting the ball. So Segura is a good pivot away from those two if you're looking for a little bit lower ownership. And Mariners bats are certainly in play. Robinson Cano, if he's back in the lineup. Nelson Cruz, who we'll talk about too. So I definitely don't mind looking at Seattle. Other shortstop options, I mean, I'm not particularly thrilled with anyone cheap. Jordan Mercer's getting a lefty, but hasn't done particularly well. He'll move up to second. Lemus Diaz struggled a little bit here at the beginning of the year, starting to come around once again for the same reasons as the other Cardinals. Over 370 WOBA allowed in his career from Butler to right-handers. I'll definitely be firing away with some of those bats. So definitely be looking at him. Moving over to the outfield, you have some price down bats because Kershaw's on the hill. I mean, Ian Desmond's cheap if you really want to go in a GPP. Guys hit lefties fairly well in his career, going up against Kershaw, who, obviously being in Coors does downgrade him a little bit, but it's still Kershaw. I mean, the potential's still there for Desmond, though, but below 3,500 on FanDuel, below 4,500 on DK. I'll take a look at Desmond at GPP tonight. Should get some lower ownership on him, but the power upside's there. I mean, we saw the home runs that Kershaw allowed last time out. Definitely two sides of the coin in that one. So Desmond's an intriguing GPP option if you're building multiple lineups. Is really all the Coors bats are. But other guys, I mean, Jay Bruce has been red hot, couple homers over the last 7 games, going up against Matt Garza, who has not been particularly great over against lefties in the last few seasons. This year, 43% hard contact rate to lefties. It stands out. Him, Conforto, if he's in the lineup. Cabrera, if he's in the lineup, even at Granderson, if you want to take a look. Neil Walker. Mets lefties are certainly in play here. So I'm intrigued with Jay Bruce, who's been hot. Moving to Texas again, Oakland. Chris Davis been struggling. I mean, near a 40% strikeout rate over the last 2 weeks. But going up against Cashner, who doesn't miss a lot of bats in that ballpark, Davis is always a multi-home run potential guy. We've seen it already this season. We've seen it last year. This is a good spot for him to get back on track here. And definitely a GPP guy, just with the way he's been struggling. But I definitely like the potential that he has in this matchup, and the price has dropped on him due to his recent struggle. So I definitely will be going back and taking a look at some of these A's bats. Next one here, David Peralta, Glass now, not allowing a ton of hard contact. But giving up a 415 WOBA to lefties, the walks are still an issue. It's allowed a couple of home runs already this year. David Peralta still on the cheaper side. He gets a bump playing in Chase Field in that ballpark. So I definitely will be going and taking a look at some of those bats. Like I said with Seattle, I mean, Ben Gamble hitting from the left side. He's filled in for Mitch Haniger very nicely. Been very strong. You're looking at the exit velocity. I mean, everything's been stellar over the last few weeks. 95 mile per hour. Getting on base at a really solid rate. So I think Gamble's the guy I'll take a consideration in cash games and in GPPs going in a friendly ballpark there at the Rogers Center. So intriguing. As far as other options go, I mean, outfield, I mean, you're pretty much kind of limited to looking at some of the cores as far as what goes on in the Dodgers lineup. I mean, Jack Peterson's going to be a guy you can take a look at. But I do like the Cardinals if Fowler's back in lineup. Grichuk, all intriguing options there against Eddie Butler. A lot of different ways you can go tonight. But those are pretty much the names I've narrowed things down to. No real off-the-wall, complete contrarian options tonight just because I think everything's pretty wide open and pretty obvious. So that's going to wrap things up here. You can head over to DaveFantasyCafe.com for all great tools and content.